Join me today as we talk about a movie from the 80s, In the Name of the Rose. Welcome to the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bob, and today we're going to be talking about a movie from the 80s, In the Name of the Rose, starring Sean Connery, a very young Christian Slater, Ron Perlman as a deformed hunchback, and I recognized a few other people, but the main one was the guy who, and I don't know his name because I've only seen him in 2 movies other than this, who played Drax in the James Bond movie Moonraker, and who plays the guy that the assorted group goes to for help about 2/3 of the way through the movie Ronin. Anyway, so fair warning, there's going to be some spoilers in here, but it's a movie from like almost 40 years ago, so you know, you had time to watch it. Also, a fair warning, I had to have missed something in this movie. Or I wasn't paying attention, or I fell asleep, or something. And I'm going to try to rewatch the last half or so of the movie, because that's where it had to have happened. Because I'm probably going to bring this up in our next podcast as well. So, you know, be on the lookout for that when we are able to record again for that. So, the movie takes place in the 1300s in Italy. It is told from the standpoint of Christian Slater's character, who is now an old man, recounting the events, and he leaves out certain things like the specific location. But he is, I think they're monks. He and Sean Connery. He's being trained by Sean Connery, and they show up at a monastery in Italy where some things have happened. A man has died, where it looks like he fell from a building that the window where he would have fallen from has been locked from the inside, which clearly he couldn't do once he was outside of it. And there's no way to access the roof. So how did he get thrown from this tall building to smash upon the rocks down below? Sean Connery's character, the abbot, knows that he has some background in these kinds of things, so he asks him to check it out. And this is all against the backdrop of there's going to be a debate, and the Pope has sent some representatives. And I believe the debate, because they don't really go into it a whole lot, I don't think. And again, this is part of that, maybe I missed some things. Seemed to be that, and I don't know which sects of the church we're talking about here, because I didn't catch that either. I believe Sean Connery is a Franciscan. I didn't catch what the other group was that actually runs the Abbey where this all takes place. So he has background in investigating things, and so they ask him to investigate, and it doesn't take him long to piece together that it was probably a suicide, because he figures out that he probably actually fell from a different building, which you can very easily get into and open up the windows to, and then finds evidence supporting that he hit one place and then rolled to where they ultimately found him. And so he believes it's a suicide. So he's ready to just call it a day, but then someone else dies, and in a way that's very clearly not self-inflicted. So that gets him to stick around, and in the meanwhile, he begins turning over some stones and finding some things out about some of the people there, like the hunchback and another gentleman are part of a different order who believed in extreme vows of poverty, to the point that, like, they should take out the rich, which the sect did, but they also focused on decadent bishops and other people within the church. So they're kind of in hiding. And there's another gentleman there who's hiding from the Inquisition. So there's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of potential reasons to take some of these people out. Then a third person dies who was clearly hiding something. And all of this had to do, like the clues all pointed to something related to black ink that they kept finding on the finger, on the thumb and the tongue, which you would lick the page to turn the page. Which is it's how it ultimately ends up on there. So this particular Abbey is supposed to have an exquisite library, but Sean Connery noted that the books were not in the room where they were transcribing them to make more copies, because that's why they still make them by hand. And one of the monks, the first one who died, and the second one, they were known to partake of joking, and one of the older monks basically thinks that laughing is like a hell-worthy sin or something. And that's where I think I kind of lost the plot, because next thing I know, it seems like the first guy killed himself, something to do with an affair he had with one of the other monks. And so that's why he killed himself, because the other one liked younger guys. He was a younger guy, and he made a deal with him to gain access to some other books. And then the second gentleman died from reading the book. The third gentleman died from reading the book. A fourth gentleman dies from handling the book, because the pages are poisoned. And I don't know if the guy who ultimately ends up seeming to be responsible poisoned them himself, or he knows that they're poisoned, but he's the one who's really strictly against laughter, because in his words, well, if we can joke about these things, then sooner or later it'll be permissible to joke about God himself, and we can't have that. So yeah, so it turns out the pages of the book are poisoned, and so he starts eating the pages to destroy them and to also kill himself. The Pope's guys show up. The debate doesn't seem to be going well for the Franciscans, or like I said, I believe they're Franciscans, who are trying to basically say, I believe they were trying to get across that the Pope's folks are living way too high off the hog. And I mean, the guy's decked out in giant hats and jewels and everything else. It's like, well, let's see, 1300s, basically everyone's a peasant. You're walking around like a medieval king. I don't think you take that vow of poverty too seriously there, guy. So that's what they're going on about. They seem to lose the debate. And then F. Murray Abraham's character shows up somewhere in here, and he's from the Inquisition. And he believes, he pins it all on the devil, and then that he gets the other guys to confess they used to be part of the sect. And also a peasant girl, basically saying that she's selling herself to the monks, for her earthly delights in exchange for worldly favors from them. So he's going to burn them all at the stake. Sean Connery is trying to find the evidence to get it all sorted out. Finds the blind guy who's all pissed off people have a sense of humor, and that leads to a big fire in the castle. All the books start burning. Eventually that guy burns up, takes that book with him, which is the only surviving copy of whatever book it was. And then Sean Connery tries to grab as many books as he can, and he makes a run for it. The Inquisitor burns two of the people alive, but then everyone has to run to the castle to stop it from burning, or try to anyway. And the Inquisitor only has 2 guards, and the townsfolk are like, hey, this guy's burning people alive, let's kill him. So he makes a run for it, gets into his wagon, it kind of crashes outside on a cliff, and the townsfolk shove it over the edge, and it gets all smashed up, and he gets impaled on a big thing. And yeah, I didn't really shed any tears over him. He had it coming. It would have been better if he would have been burned alive, but nothing's perfect. So yeah, everything just went to crazy town when it was oh, people shouldn't laugh, and I'm going to kill a bunch of people because of it. And it's I had to have missed something to connect all these dots. So I'm gonna give it another watch. But it was an interesting movie. and well acted by everyone involved. Uh, like I said, I think there was something missing or I missed it. So anyway, just my thoughts on it. From a D&D perspective, if you're curious, you might want to look at this movie as a way to model infighting within different sects of a religion in D&D. Like in the Forgotten Realms, the Sun God, it's Lathander and Almanatar, and I want to say there's another one. There's some among the church who believe that Lathander and Almanatar are the same god, and that they like go through a cycle, like the god of the dawn, the noon sun, dusk, and then night. And so there's a heresy among some of them that they're the same god, and that there's that there are other facets yet to be revealed, or potentially already revealed as other gods. And so there's in-church fighting because of things like that. So you could use this as a template, to get some ideas for how that would shape up, where people who theoretically all believe the same thing, but with minor variations, would treat each other and things like that. So something to consider. Not a movie for kids with some of the sex stuff, even though I don't think there's anything explicit, again, unless I missed it. Because Sean Connery seemed to have known that Christian Slater definitely slept with the town girl, but I don't remember seeing it, so I might have passed out right in there, turned my head, or walked out of the room because I was watching on streaming. Like I said, I'll double check it again. But anyway, hopefully we'll talk about this a little bit more in the podcasts once I check things out. But other than that, folks, let me know what you think down in the comments. Have you seen the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you going to watch it? If you do, let me know. But, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff for YouTube. But anyway, we'll see you later.